I think she knows the answer to that. And Mr. Johnson, you have a cadet, so you might imagine. So while I wait for those chats to come in, what I will tell you is that Preston, a month before graduation, very last minute. Yeah, yes. So what I found was our approach similarly is the Career Center offered a lot of great programmings and support, but generally most of our students about 10 years ago when I started were waiting until definitely senior year, some planning junior year, but I called it just, oh my gosh, I'm going to graduate. What am I going to do with my life if I'm not going into the military? So at that time, my background was corporate recruiting, sales, and then human resource management. So I luckily had the support of Brent Stewart, and now a lot of the Commandant's Department, the faculty, definitely General Walters and leadership. We developed a plan, and I like to think about it as sneak attack career planning. They don't even know they're doing it. So we've integrated career planning into the culture of the campus. Students start in Leaders 101, they develop a career plan. Some of them don't even remember they're doing it. But what we know is 50% of them from that take action to engage with the Career Center in some measurable way. We are integrated into the Commandant's Leadership Training Program. So on Tuesdays, Thursdays, every single member of the Corps Cadets gets at least one required career planning talk each year based on where they are. So we talk about exploration, preparation, or engagement. We've now integrated into the Communications 211 class, which used to be Business Communications. You may remember where I met you many years ago. Now it's a class at about 75% of our students, and hopefully by next fall, it'll be a required class for every student where they develop a resume, cover letter, mock interview, and attend at least one required career event. And then senior year, we partner with the Krause Center for Leadership and Ethics, and there's a required graduation 411 where every student spends a day of professional development within their major. So what this does and what we have learned is by this kind of integrating the career planning and touching each semester and having that cyclical approach is that we have students who are much more prepared, have a plan and a backup plan and a backup in a kind of a strategy. So what are the outcomes? Well, similarly, when I was visiting college campuses with my daughter, I would make her visit the Career Center first because, of course, in my opinion, I thought that was the most important place on campus. You know, what are you going to do when you graduate and what is your approach? So what I found 10 years ago is like a lot of colleges, we were sending out a little senior survey and the students were responding at about 20%, like most colleges still do, like my alma mater, Clemson, and they're saying, hey, this is our number and all of our successes. With the Commandant's Department, we actually, with my department, track every single student. And we started the year that Karina was a senior. And we take a very hands-on approach on making sure that each student has a game plan or support. So what we have found in the years that we've been tracking, and now my 5 years as director, is we have between May and August about an 80% placement rate. Our military numbers do count into that, and they help us tremendously. Obviously, we're a military school. We love our students to go into the military, but consistently about a third of our students are going into the military still, and that has been relatively consistent over 10 or 15 years. Really our largest schools, which are business, engineering, criminal justice, our students are going into the professional world. We have about 7 to 8% who are pursuing competitive graduate school programs. We would like to increase that number, which is why we've got Dr. Earl Walker, who is doing a fantastic job and I so admire. And then we kind of have other people we're still tracking who are shifting. So quick approach. Karina was my guinea pig, by the way. We started this approach when she was a student, so I practiced the approach on her, and she was a very receptive taker to all of that. But yeah, so that's really our approach. And if you leave planning to students, I still think they're going to wait till about a month before graduation. So with this approach, we have a lot of support. We've got the administration, wonderful faculty, great staff, and I'm very appreciative of our alumni, which are a very big part. And one last thing, Neil Couch and Chuck Issa, Neil, it was 5 years ago this past fall that Neil and the provost and I were sitting at a table. It was late October, where Dr. Book said, we're going to have a Citadel in DC program. And I was, great, we're going to take a year to plan this. And she said, no, we're doing this in May. And so my eyes got really big, and Neil said, okay, great, let's do this. And my dear friend Chuck Issa really helped that come to be. Zane's going to talk about it, hopefully, as looks like we'll have a year-round program as part of our kind of Study USA. So with that, I'm going to mute myself and pass it back to you, Roger, to have Zane and
Okay. Hey, great. Thanks, Paige. And I love it because I get so motivated as I hear you talking, because, you know, I work with students as well in my job, you know, so this is fantastic. I also realized that I didn't push the right button when I first started talking. So let me again introduce this. We're talking with Paige Tisdale, director of the Citadel Career Center, with Dr. Earl Walker, the director of the Citadel Scholars Distinguished Scholars Program, and with Dr. Zane Siegel, who is the director of the Office of Study Abroad, International and Domestic Programs. So so what does it mean to be a distinguished scholar? Earl, what are we looking for? I mean, the question that has come up has the Citadel ever had a Rhodes Scholar? That was the big question that we were bouncing around yesterday, because some people say yes, but the tone of the marketing piece that was sent out was kind of like no. So what's the truth?
Truth is no. First, thank you very much for having me. Bottom line of what you can do to continue helping us is just be there, be organized, be involved, be caring. It is so enormously supporting, I must tell you. We have never had a Rhodes Scholarship. The Rhodes is a 2 years at Oxford. We've never had a Gates, which is 2 years at Cambridge. There's a new one that's very exciting called a Knight Hennessy, which is a full ride to Stanford. We've never had a Marshall Scholarship, which is 2 years anywhere in the UK. We have had Truman, Fulbright scholars. We recently got a Schwartzman, but the whole focus of this initiative, which I'd like to tell you about very briefly, is I'd first like to tell you about what our mission is, and then give you a little background, and then thirdly, how we're doing. The mission really, as Roger suggested, is we want to see how we can get the Citadel Distinguished Scholarships, and admitted to what I'll call distinguished universities. So we're looking for prestigious scholarship, Rhodes, Gates, etc., and we would like to get them admitted to outstanding universities. Now, it's going to sound terribly elitist, but when you understand the background of this, you'll understand kind of why we're doing it that way. We'd like to get them into Harvard, Yale, Princeton, MIT, Chicago, Berkeley, Stanford, and others that, you know, are so well known. So it is sound, and we have had some success with that, but we think we can do a lot better. So what's the background? Well, I had breakfast in March of 18 with a Citadel graduate. I'm not going to mention his name, although I don't think he'd object. He, class of 89, electrical engineering, Air Force fighter pilot, Harvard Business School, and then an investment company. He did very, very well. He's been a huge contributor to the Citadel. I mentioned that one of the dreams I had was to help the Citadel get a Rhodes Scholarship. I spent 18 years on the faculty at West Point, and the department I was in was focusing on coaching West Pointers to get Rhodes Scholarships. West Point has had 94. I think VMI has had 3 or 4 or 5. So he just kept saying, okay, tell me what you want to do. Tell me what you want to do. Tell me what you're going to do. And over $500,000 later, this program was established. The program consists of 4 full professors who serve as tutors, an administrative officer, and yours truly. What we do is we interview cadets after their freshman year based on their grade point average and their SAT scores. We choose up to 10, and we then put them through 4 tutorials as if they were at Oxford or Cambridge. They have to take an English tutorial, they have to take a history tutorial, a political science tutorial, and an economics tutorial. And that's one-on-one with a full professor. So they meet with this professor one-on-one. All of them have a faculty mentor, the 4 tutors or me, who stays with them the whole time. I currently have 2 mentees. They're both happen to be sophomores. And our administrative officer is really the chief operating officer. She's kind of the brains behind this, and she's wonderful. Her husband was vice president of communications at the Citadel. Her name is Vanya Perez. The faculty members are Tom Horan, Kathy Dubois, Kathy Grenier, who's history, and then we have Dubois Kapeluk, which someone you may know. He's head of the political science department, and then a visiting professor named Sykes Wilford in economics. How are we doing? We think we're doing pretty well. Our first cohort, which will be the class of 2022, started with 8, now has 4. And I'll explain in a minute why we think we're losing people. The second cohort started with 9. We currently have 8. 1 we're going to have to let go because he can't keep up his grade point average. All cadets who are in the program are asked to maintain a 3.75 grade point average, apply to 2 distinguished universities, to 2 prestigious scholarships, and stay in touch with their mentor. We have an advisory board which is contributing money. They're wonderful. They've helped us a lot. We have started doing mock interviews. We have also created a list of questions that students can expect if they're applying for these scholarships, and probably they would fit for any universities. I'm about to send that out campus-wide, and I'm happy to send it to you if you'd like to see it. It was developed by a guy who was a vice chair of Deloitte & Touche, and I contributed too. The reason we've lost young people is it's just, some of them just can't keep up with the work. Many of these young people are taking 20 to 24 hours, which is just an exhausting business. But we have people who kept up with it. Of the 4 juniors, 1 is triple majoring. All the others are double majoring. 1 is a Lithuanian, which is very interesting. He wanted to go in the Lithuanian army, and I'm not sure he's going to end up doing that. But anyway, and 1 kid came in with the interview and said, "Well, I'm majoring in triple E." Triple E? Well, electrical engineering and English. Can you imagine? I mean, wow, what a Renaissance person. He is doing extremely well. We have 1 young woman in that group who is a first-generation college student, and she's a scrambler. She is working so hard. In the second group, we started with 9. One cadet decided it was too much. We went to 8, and we've had 1 cadet who's about to be dropped because he couldn't keep up his grade point average. Our plans are that these young people will meet with our advisory board, and we've had this done in the past before everything got locked down. When we all get vaccinated, I think we will resume that. They will meet with the advisory board once a semester. They'll meet with this program committee of the 6 of us. They're just outstanding young people. I'm just so impressed. Of the second cohort, 1 is a veteran student. He was an airborne infantryman who, sorry, I couldn't help that. Being an Army guy who happened to be one of those types too. Others are double majoring, and they're amazing young people. Well, that's more than you probably wanted to know, but I'm available for any questions you have. Thank you for what you're doing. Please, please keep it up. Just to know you are there when we can get our young people abroad, and Zane Siegel, I think, will be talking more about that shortly. Our dream is they all go abroad, all of ours. In fact, we give them money to go abroad. after their sophomore and junior year. Thank you very much.
Great. Hey, thanks for that, Earl. And I think that's a good transition then, as you were mentioning, to Zane. So Zane, please, study abroad. What's it all mean? What do you need from us?
Wow, so that's a lot. So prepare yourselves. For those of you that know me, it looks like there's several here. Like I mentioned earlier, Devin, Preston, good to see y'all too. I'm happy to report that since I've been abroad with you guys, I've gotten myself into a lot of trouble at the Citadel, a lot of trouble. So what is this office? So the office is the Office of Study Abroad, International and Domestic Programs, and I'll talk about each of those components in a second. But we've made a lot of changes to study abroad on campus. When I was called in to work study abroad programs and create an office and start organizing Citadel specific programs, we really didn't know what we were going to do, how we were going to do it. And so what we came up with were several things. First of all, I'm also the official Office of Fellowships also falls under this office as well. And it's run by former cadet Noah Kubinek at the moment. And we also still, for those of you who know me, still do Project Global Officer, which is a grant from the Department of Defense for critical language training. We do Mandarin, and we started out back in 2010 with about $65,000. And now we're up to about $1.2 million from the Department of Defense for our program in Taipei, Taiwan. And we also are starting a summer language intensive institute in Mandarin at the Citadel, where we're going to be flying in professors and students from all of the ROTC detachments around the United States to study Mandarin at the Citadel during the summers. And then once they get more advanced, we send them to Taipei to our program there. So to talk really quickly about our summer programs, we continue to do faculty-led programs like I did, as y'all know, for many, many years. And what we're trying to do is increase participation from both faculty as well as students through new strategic initiatives where we are with the TCF doing fundraising to be able to create a level of an endowment where we can start giving out more scholarships and getting more students abroad. So we're also going to work on giving money to 2 to 3 professors a year to be able to investigate new programs around the world, to be able to get professors to create programs and get students abroad. So we're working on that diligently. But one of the exciting things we've done, and some of you might be aware of this, others might not, but we created new semester-long programs called the Global Scholars Programs, and those are for fall and spring semester. And what's unique about these is, one, they're Citadel specific, and the other is that we created the financial structure as such to where every one of these programs is the same cost of in-state tuition. And then what we've done, we added on top of that plane tickets, we cover housing, tuition, meals, transport, everything that they get here at the Citadel, we try to replicate abroad. The good news is it's only the cost of in-state tuition, which means that if you can somehow afford to go to the Citadel, then you can afford to spend a semester abroad. All you have to do is sign up, we work everything out, and you can go abroad. So naturally, around the world, that's tricky to find programs where we can have that price point. So currently what we have now is a program in Cyprus. We have a program in Athens, Greece. We have a program in Rome, Italy. And then we have a very specialized program in Aberystwyth University in Wales. We're looking into additional programs, one in Scotland. We're looking into another program in Vietnam and other areas. So the good news is if you're on scholarships, whatever it may be, academic, athletic, or Department of Defense, and one of the branches, it all feeds into this. And that's because it's a Citadel-based program. So what does one of these programs look like? So for Cypress, for example, we were averaging almost 30 students fall semester, a little bit less spring semester. And we also send over a faculty member with them to spend the entire semester there as well. And these students are able to take up to 18 credit hours of coursework. So they're able to maintain their academic pathways while they're in each of these locations abroad. And again, the good news is if you can come to the Citadel, you can go abroad now for an entire semester. So we've had a lot of really good response to this. We've been doing it for about 4.5, 5 years. And we were averaging at one point almost 30 students per program, except for Aberystwyth, which is a fairly new program. So we have a lot of good responses for Rome and Athens, as well as Cyprus. They've been excellent programs, and it's exciting that what we're doing is they're an entire underrepresented group at the Citadel who normally wouldn't be able to study abroad can now study abroad for an entire semester. So that hasn't been easy to set up. I find myself on the road quite a bit, flying throughout the world and setting these up and managing them, managing the risk, managing the finances, the housing, all those other things with the various partners and institutions abroad. We're even we've even gotten into Eastern Europe as well. So we have a robust program during the summer in Estonia, which was really fun to set up, great to get that going. And we also have a very good program in the Republic of Georgia. And we're looking to expand those and hopefully offer semester-long situations as there too. So the good news is that we've created this financial model to where we can plug in programs as long as the price point fits, and students, all they have to do is pay their tuition and fees. We buy their plane tickets, get them registered, and send them off on their individual programs. So that's been one of the more exciting things, and we have a lot of students going out now, and a lot of interest in studying abroad and going on these programs abroad. And I think it's helped a lot of the students in their careers after. And Paige knows these high impact practices are crucial to the student success. So it's been very helpful for them. Now, we're part of this domestic name in our office. And what we've done, and as Paige has mentioned, we want to create a Citadel Center in DC. We've been going during the summers, working through Catholic University and housing our students there. But now we're focusing also on semester-long program in DC. Yesterday, Paige and I had a really good conversation with a real estate group on Capitol Hill. We've been able to secure housing up there. And the good news is we're going to apply this financial model that I just talked about to our domestic program in DC, which means that if you've got the required GPA and you have a desire to go and study in DC, that all you have to do is pay your tuition and fees, and it'll cover everything, housing and food and credit hours and everything else. So we are, for our semester, we're going to begin working with our intelligence and security studies folks. They already have a professor that resides there half the year, and he's going to be taking charge of the academics on that. The students are going to be getting, and Paige, correct me if I'm wrong, 12 to 15 credit hours of coursework, not including coursework that they can take back at the Citadel online. Now that what we've learned about COVID is that we can do online courses pretty effectively and have excellent outcomes, learning outcomes on these programs. And so there's a lot of offerings now for students who want to take additional credit hours while they're either abroad or domestic. So the idea behind that is, with the revenue that we will pull in from sending students to DC, we will be able to fund a spring semester as well, including a summer 10-week period as well, except that we would have these apartments year round, which means it would provide faculty as well opportunities to go up and do research as well as students. So in essence, falling short of actually purchasing the property, we'll at least be renting the properties for an entire year. So that's our plan, and we're going to be piloting that program this fall with a relatively small number of students, 10 to 12 students perhaps, in getting this off the ground. And programs like this, as you know, and all of our programs abroad, usually takes 2 or 3 year cycles, and building them up and working out the kinks and the issues, the security issues, the risk measures, and things like that. Especially with COVID, we're having to build in additional quarantining space and self-isolation space, additional funding for insurance, health insurance, and things like that. But we also were contracting with a safety company that has an excellent app that our students are going to be able to start using. We're beefing up our health insurance and things like that. So a lot of exciting things are happening right now, and there's been a lot of changes here at the Citadel. I must say this past year has been incredibly frustrating for study abroad. I think if there's one sector of higher education that's been impacted quite a bit, and that's definitely ours. Back in March of 2020, we had to pull about 80 students from abroad within about a week period. And we were working pretty much 24/7 trying to get these students out of their various locations and getting all their plane tickets worked out. So it's quite a bit of work. I have a great staff that helps me out with that. And I have a lot of support from the provost and other entities on campus who have been really great in promoting international education. So we're internationalizing the campus, I believe, a lot more. And I'm sure if y'all have some questions, I'd be delighted to answer those. But we're all over the world now, and we're going to continue to expand, hopefully with our global scholars programs, and find something in Asia. We've got interest actually in the UAE of inbound students and other areas. So we're excited about this. It's great. And I better shut up because I could go on for another 2 hours about this. So Roger, you better cut me off right now.
I'll cut you off then. All right. Thanks, Zane. Wow. A lot going on, and definitely me working at a college here in the Netherlands, I think I need to have a discussion with you about maybe how we can get the two schools together.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, and this is for everybody that's on this call. My job is to build relationships. My job is to work with who you know, work with your institutions, people you've run into, and whether it may be inbound or outbound, we build them all, exchange programs, whatever it may be. And so I'd be delighted offline to y'all can email me, set up an appointment, and I'd be happy to try to work something out.
Well, excellent. Great. Well, I'll contact you one-on-one for that. Definitely.
Sounds great, Roger. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks. Okay. We do have some questions being posted here in the chat. And in fact, I see Rick Simmons one there, which is about, and Zane, you just mentioned as well about the internationalization on the campus. And we've seen over the history of the Citadel where General Summerall brought a lot of Chinese over to be members of the Corps Cadets. And then we had Jordanian cohort. So there's quite a number of Jordanian officers who have graduated from the Citadel right now, senior officers. And then we had this beautiful, great cohort of Croatians come over, so Flasta as well, and talking about distinguished scholars, Flasta with her PhD as well here. So, we have a history of having international students on campus. And of course, they have gone on to incredible leadership positions back in their own country as well. So what is the Citadel doing to do in terms of attracting international students as well to the college? Because Earl, you also mentioned there's a Lithuanian student there right now. Who'd like to pick this up?
Well, the Lithuanian student came of his own accord. I don't think that he was recruited. And I don't know, I don't have an answer to that. Maybe Zane knows or Paige knows an answer about what they're doing. Of course, right now, everything is at a stop here. Someone mentioned what this college has been doing to sustain this place during this lockdown, and it has done a wonderful job. The president, the provost, the commandant, the deans, I'm so impressed. I'm lucky I get to work out of my home, but so many others are in teaching and working so hard, the faculty and the staff. So it's until we can loosen this up here, I'm afraid international students right now are not going to have great opportunities. But Zane, I defer to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Earl. So to answer your question, I'm not sure if there's been a lot of efforts in the realm of outreach with regard to international students. I've been working on changing that, and it looks like it's in the works to put all of the inbound responsibilities of international students coming to the Citadel under my office. And we actually are putting together a marketing plan to be able to attend those conferences, meet with people, and begin doing more active recruiting in getting students from abroad to come to the Citadel. I'm working with a current professor now, mentioning the UAE. His father owns a shipping business in the UAE and has a lot of connections, and he has talked to a lot of groups that are interested in exploring coming to the Citadel for their 4-year degree, which is fantastic. So we are going to be working on that. I only do right now outbound students, but inbound soon will be. Again, got myself into trouble coming under this office, I believe, and I'll be working with Robert Pickering and others in establishing something firm. And this is where y'all come in these connections, and I just need to get in front of people and talk. That's all I need to do, because the Citadel is an easy sell, especially for those students who are looking for this particular niche of an education. I can do that. And so we're going to be working on that. And I see some questions coming in on the side. I can't type quick enough and talk at the same time. So please email me. And to answer, Teresa, your question really quickly, ROTC students do go on our programs. However, there's a sweet spot for the Citadel, and that's usually the fall semester of their sophomore year is what's best. We can do it their junior year during the semesters, but sometimes they have to deal with the contracting piece where they have to get the drug test and other sorts of things, which can be a little tricky. But overall, the ROTC department with Colonel Cyrillic and others have been incredibly supportive of study abroad. The biggest challenge we're having is some of the folks in the ROTC not wanting to do the paperwork. So we're encouraging them to get on board, and most of them are, and help us out there. So definitely we get a lot of ROTC guys going abroad, that's for sure.
To build on that, Zane, there were a lot of questions about internships that I want to touch on briefly. We have a lot of support for internships. We do have an applicant tracking system, which is a international database called Handshake that a lot of colleges use to track and vet our internships, which has been wonderful for us. Chuck, you'll be happy to know that I wanted to make sure she's a phenomenal person. We have an interim position right now. Lieutenant Colonel Linda Rydell is Deputy Director of Operations and Outreach for the new Citadel DoD Cyber Institute, which is the mouthful Cyber and Intelligence Program. And she is working directly with us to try to get more of these students who are interested in languages that Zane is working with through the Project Go, and to get more internships in the federal space related to intelligence. And so that was definitely one of the drivers of that. And we work collaboratively with Zane and students to get on board with that. And a lot of questions about how long. So we're very creative. You know, a lot of people don't really know exactly what an internship is, But for example, I'll use the FBI. They have a very structured internship. It's a summer internship. It's a 10-week program. They rotate you through different areas. We work a lot. We are actually one of the 37 collegiate hiring partners of the FBI. The CIA now recruits with us every fall and spring. So we have really good collegiate relationships with a lot of the federal spaces, including those in Department of Homeland Security. But we're always creative. Like right now in my inbox, I've got 6 students that I'm working with to get into internship positions during the semester off of campus. So students, the great thing about this is about 4 years ago, we opened up our programming similar to the 6 senior military, other 5 senior military colleges, and students are able to use either an internship or an undergraduate research opportunity to fulfill their ROTC requirement if they are not going to contract. However, Teresa, to answer your question, students who are contracting can still do an internship for academic credit. Typically, they're going to have to work around their military training, and we really work. Those are the creative ones we have to get creative with, because often they're not available for 10 weeks. So those are the ones in DC where we work with our alumni who, you know, like Daryl Smith, who's been incredibly helpful in DC creating internships for those students. So anybody interested in more can connect with me through just Citadel email or LinkedIn, or send up smoke signals. I'll be happy to send more information and talk to you.
Excellent. Thanks, Paige. Yeah, I mean, you talk about sending up smoke signals and sending an email and so forth, but you know, what can we do? You know, we're sitting here in Europe, and like I always put down in my email, Zane, is that I'm always frustrated because I see on social media somebody has taken a group over to Amsterdam, which is only an hour away from me, and I'd be happy to buy everybody dinner. But nobody ever contacted the Citadel Club of, you know, the Benelux Citadel Club. They didn't reach out to alumni before they came over to Europe. And I think that's just a missed opportunity. Or they go to Italy and they didn't reach out. Or they went to Germany and they didn't reach out. What can we do? How can we raise awareness within your community on campus so that, you know, I'm not sitting here a year from now saying, gosh darn it, I've got money burning in my pocket, and still, you know, the people there aren't reaching out.
Zane, I know you want to address this, and I wish Neil was still on here, because you are right. That frustration is so real. And when I mention like email or look at a website, or I'll say similar to a lot of organizations, you know, sometimes we are very solid, but that, like what we're doing right here, is incredibly helpful. And I will say the DC Club as a model of how they've integrated bringing speakers in from the campus to hear us, seeing your faces and knowing and connecting and being able to make those connections is really, really helpful for me. So I appreciate you having us on here, because I think this moves it into a more cohesive direction.
Roger, may I jump in on that? Damn it. Roger, may I jump in on that?
Yeah, absolutely, Chip.
Hey, look, this is one of the things, this is why I reached out to Roger when he reached out to me first, and I've gotten involved in sitting here and getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to listen to y'all talk about your breakfast while I'm trying to get to sleep. But anyway, this is a major problem, and I'm working on this. My district directors, not my district directors, your district directors need to do a better job of reaching out to their clubs and the people who are sponsoring these trips to wherever they're going. Okay, that's my job as president of the Alumni Association, and I want to work with you guys to continue to do that. But you got to get the word out, and that's the problem. The word isn't getting out, and that's my problem. I need to get the word out. So if if any of y'all here, such and such group is going to Luxembourg or wherever, UK, I need to know so that we may be able to actually pay for some of it. So I just wanted to say that I want to expand the club, or excuse me, the Alumni Association. I want more club experiences, and what's going on in UK is an awesome thing. You guys have been doing great things over there, And I just want to keep that up. So I just posted to everybody my email and phone number, and obviously my text number. And if there's any questions you got, or you hear about a club coming over or going somewhere, please let me know, and I'll see that I can get the word out to the people in that area. I'm out.
Chip, thanks. If Roger, if I may jump in really quick, I'm trying to figure out how we can do this better and how we can have better communication. In our study abroad office and these programs are only about 5 years old, and we've been running frenetic since the first day we started doing this. So the question is, how can you figure out where we're going, whether it's communicating with me or otherwise? And my answer to that is, what we'll do then, we'll put something on the Study Abroad webpage that lists for that current summer where we're going to have groups, and Chip, perhaps checking that would be a good place to start in seeing what's happening there. I know in Taiwan, with my program in Taipei, we have done dinners with the former Taiwanese students and those expats or whatever living in Taipei, and that's worked really, really well. Roger, I would have been happy. Listen, if you talk about free dinner, we'll be there. But you know, we got to know that you're offering. I think it's now that you finally invited me, I think it's great, because this is how we build relationships. This is how we start communicating. I can say, hey, we got a group going here, and you don't necessarily have to buy dinner, but at least show them around or meet with them and talk about your experiences living abroad, because your experiences are golden for these guys, and to show them that they're not just going abroad to be able to drink at 18, right? They're going there for academics and for a reason. And we want to show them that. Now, we do teach a leadership course abroad that everybody has to take, and they have to document their experience from the first day to the end of the day and create a video story of that experience. And I can promise you that when we ask them questions at the beginning about assimilating into different cultures and societies and languages, by the end, they're not the same person. And we have those documented. And so we need your help. We need your help in communicating with me and Chip. I'd be delighted to talk offline and see how we could get our communication more together. I mean, because we do work well with the DC alumni, work well with the Taiwanese alumni, but we have not worked at all with this group. Preston and Kate and others who are in also locations around. Kate, you looks like you just texted me about your experiences in Brussels, right? I think that's fantastic. We currently have our professional program going to Hungary this next summer to do sort of an internship type thing, rotating in a clinic. And those sorts of things are golden for these guys' experience. Someone had their hand up. Anyway, so yeah, it's about communication. And I don't know how to stress that. Please reach out to me. I'll do what I can on our website to make things very clear where we're going, what we're doing. And let's see if we can get some synergy going here and really enhance these guys' experiences while they're abroad.
Yeah.
Zane, you've got my information. Give me a call next week. I think one of the problems we're not doing is I don't think there's a link on the CAA website to your website. So I'm not sure. And I think that might be a start for that. Okay.
All right, let's do that, Chip. Let's see what we can do to connect us. And then with that, we can start branching out and see what kind of trouble we can get ourselves into.
Okay, great. And everybody, I've got to run. Like I said, I've got to go get my truck out of the repair shop. So anyway, you all take care. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Zane, the things that you're explaining there are also triggering me to something. I'm also an alumnus of another school here in the Netherlands. It's an MBA program, And you know, the Dutch have roots back in the States as well. So whenever they go for recruitment of international students over to the States, they invite all the alumni together. And I know that Earl will appreciate this as well, because it's not only a great time for alumni to talk with prospective students, but it's also a fundraising type of affair as well, because once alumni become connected again, the wallets start to open up, kind of thing. So you know, I kind of want to put it back over to you, as well as say that you know, checking a website is one thing, but I think also from your office and from the professors that are leading these groups over here, they need to be a little bit proactive and say, look, we're coming and we'd like to meet with you, because while maybe they can't get the funding for their own program up in advance, at least they start creating the opportunity to get the funding for the next guy that comes over, or the next group that comes over, by building these things. So it's not only about bringing the students over. I mean, that is of course the primary function and everything, but it's a wonderful opportunity to get connected for the fundraising, et cetera, there. And I think all it takes is a quick email to any of us that's on this call right now. As I introduced at the beginning, you know, we have Preston over in London. We've got John down there in Vicenza. We've got JR over in Germany. You have me. And of course, we've got, you know, all the people here as well that we can get connected really fast to help you out there, and your colleagues.
I think that's great, and ultimately we want to continue to build on that. And we our semester programs are covered by tuition and fees, but our summer programs, that's where it's difficult for students to be able to fund. And we would be delighted to be able to start building something there to where we can. Right now, we only give out a total of about 11 scholarships, but then we have about 80 students interested in scholarships. So, and we would have even more, but a lot of students don't even apply because they know they can't afford it. So the summer programs is where we can really make a lot of difference in increasing our numbers. Currently, we have about 180 to 190 students go out during the summer. I think we could increase that by at least 50%. And have 200 and some students going out easily, just by offering them some form of financial assistance, and as well as faculty to be able to create these unique programs. We have some looking into Western Africa and other areas, and we have faculty that want to do show their students types of research in the engineering areas, and so we just need to facilitate that. And so I agree, Roger, anything we can do, let's start doing it. And now that I've been able to be on this call, I'll be able to start working with some of you. So I'm excited about that.
I think we ought, I don't want to overemphasize that Zane and I are only interested in money. Yes, we are. But the key to all this is really your time and your talent. You know, I'm a military college graduate, good Lord, 54 years ago, almost. And I can tell you the relationships I built with the graduates of all military colleges are so meaningful. One of my best friends, who I've worked with all over and over again, was from the Citadel. I knew guys from BMI. And so just your interest in these young people and your willingness to kind of serve as a resource, a mentor, someone to talk to, someone can say, well, what's it? They want to know what it's really like out there. Well, there's a lot of realities, as all of us know. So your time and interest in them and you're providing your talent is probably the most important of all. Believe me, we will not have any more Citadel Distinguished Scholars going to Europe without being in touch with you. We have had some over there. I wasn't aware of you all until just recently. Paige, I think, introduced me to somebody who introduced me to you, and we want you involved. How we get the faculty, that's another interesting question. And it may be one that Zane, Paige, and I can talk to the provost about, because the faculty would love to meet with you, most of them. They're busy, but at the same time, you provide insights, places to visit, ideas about opportunities. Believe me, they'd be fascinated to work with you, I think. So maybe the three of us can take that on, Zane, Paige, and I, and talk to the provost about that and see how we can help get the faculty involved with you all when they're abroad. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Earl. Paige, you want to jump in there?
Well, I'm reminded when I was talking about Neil is that kind of that frustration that, God, how do we not know this was going on as alumni, and really then being on the campus, boots on the ground of like, God, how do we connect? Oftentimes, and I really value Dr. Walker's opinion because he was, as former retired dean, but also the one who started our best mentorship program with our School of Business. He just mentioned it, having mentors and alumni who give back are our biggest reason of why we at the Career Center are so successful. We are working, there's several conversations on campus about creating more of a kind of a center for engaged scholarship and corporate engagement. I think that's one way that we will hopefully cohesively have opportunities for alumni to see a hub of where things are. But I do think the alumni group has one of the things that we've done well working with both the Charleston Club, the DC, and some of the larger clubs is calls like this, staying connected, but also having that liaison of a person for a larger club of, so for example, Andy Kelly with the DC Club is our internship coordinator. When somebody from the DC Club now has that internship lead, they can send it to him as a contact, and each year it's a different person, and I stay connected to that person. So I think that's one quick solution too, of having kind of maybe a leadership role or somebody who could take on a responsibility of talking about undergraduate research, study abroad, internships, as one piece as we grow it out. Quickly getting it put on the Citadel Alumni Association website. What a simple solution. I'm going to reach out to Tom McAllister when I am back in the office on Tuesday. That's the easy fix. So I think there's some small progress that we can make as we work to be more cohesive.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, great. And like I was mentioning when we were getting things started up here, Preston Hips has agreed to be the point of contact for establishing a UK Citadel Club. He's based in London. He is a former member or student who did study abroad in London. He has a Fulbright scholarship that took him to Mexico, and now he's back and calling London home. And so, I mean, he has said, please use me. I am the point of contact for students that want to come to London and so forth. So I know I see the look on his face. He's becoming a little overwhelmed right now. But so Zane and Earl and Paige, Preston is your go-to guy right there. So Preston, anything you want to add to that?
No, look, I think the Distinguished Scholars Program and the Study Abroad push are two of the most exciting things happening at the Citadel right now. Study abroad was one of the most important things for my development when I was there. We didn't have the Distinguished Scholarship Program, but I worked with at least one of those professors, Dr. Haran, who acted as kind of a ad hoc tutor and mentor for me, which was really great. I'd be super interested to be as involved as possible and help any way I can for either of those. And I have a good relationship with Dr. Pilhoy and Dr. Houston, who come over to London every now and then. So hopefully I'll see them next time they're able to come. And further to Roger's point, happy to buy the group dinner, so long as it's still only 8 or 10 people and not 40.
Well, we do, besides our London group, which is usually pretty small, we also have a fairly small group that goes to Aberystwyth, and I know on their time off they might spend a weekend in London. So perhaps we can
love that. And look, if we get a Gates or a Rhodes Scholar, and I'm sure during the course of 2 years they'll make their way down to London. So I'd love to meet and see those kids too.
Yeah, and our students in Aberystwyth, they're high performing students. They have to have at least a 3.2 GPA. Great. To be able to qualify to go on that program. So these are very excellent students, and I know they'd be excited and would benefit a lot Preston, to be able to meet with you. So
Yeah, would love to meet any of them and help any way I can. So please send them my way.
absolutely.
Uh, Excellent. I'm trying to be conscious of our time here. We're about 6:15 right now. Are there any specific questions from anyone out there that while we still have the chance here? Any hands up? Yes, Flasta, please.
Hi, everybody. This is so amazing. Like the school has progressed so far. Some class of 2002. So it's like, it's incredible how many more opportunities are now compared to back in the days. We had like a single Captain Biedenbosch. She was director of international affairs, basically trying to manage 10 foreign students. And that was it, you know? So this is like really incredible. And it just makes students more international, more mature, more like ready for real world. I would just like to add something to Roger actually saying before. A lot of us have also like PhDs, we are professors, associate professors, scientific associates. I give lectures worldwide, you know, and I would love to support, even like I'm sure like Roger would, you know, if we connect with the professors of different departments, you know, as the giving them external lectures, you know, like on the topics that we do. I work for NATO, for example, you know, like it's the access to the whole North Atlantic Treaty Organization, what it means, what it does, how it does. So this is something that it's also can be very easily, I think, injected, not on like I said, not on any permanent basis, but at least as a guest lecturers to open the different world. It's not just about travel, particularly now in time of COVID, God knows when we're going to travel again. But, you know, this virtual environment lets us come into the classrooms anywhere in the world. So if we can support more also the Citadel classrooms like this, it would be really great honor to do so. Cost us nothing. And again, we open the doors that they otherwise might not see. So I would just like to compliment as well, like, I love all the plans, they're brilliant, but you know, today is today. In next 6 months or next 6 months, whatever we can start doing right now, I think it would also be worth doing as well. So
And
that's
Vlasta, where are you located, if I may ask?
Brussels.
In Brussels, okay.
Yeah, in the main headquarters of Brussels, NATO headquarters here.
Okay.
And
Excellent.
definitely if anybody comes to Belgium or anywhere in the Benelux, we have to get them in, because NATO headquarters is this amazing brand new glass steel building that looks like a space station from, you know, any sci-fi show. So whoever comes to,
I want to
at
come
least
see NATO.
yeah, like
I live down the street.
yeah, you should. Everybody should. I think it's like really something that's worth like opening the eyes, seeing also, particularly the ones who are considering security, defense, not just the military, but the broader stuff. It's something worth seeing. And having alumni in the house, it's easy to open the doors. So happy to
Excellent.
support.
Could you send me your email to
Yeah, of course.
Earl, EARL.walker@citadel.edu, Earl.walker.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Sir.
I was a NATO research fellow,
Oh,
89-90, and we lived in Brussels. Where were you then? I wish I could have you up.
in 89, I was still in elementary school back home in Croatia. So it's like
I don't think I'd have missed you then. Okay. All right. Thank you.
possibly, but I will definitely contact you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I think that's a good point. Roger, how would I get everybody's email addresses from these groups?
Yeah, what I will do, that's what I was thinking is I will follow this up with a quick email that has a list of all the participants here on the call today, just to the participants here that we share the emails then that you can get in touch with us, Zane, and that they have your email and Earl and Paige's as well, so that we have that link immediately. So I'll do that this evening. You get contact. And then the other thing is that, you know, now just to kind of give everybody a heads up about the call as well, just putting out a short email blast or newsletter a week in advance. And so in February, before our next monthly call, it's always the third Saturday of the month. So the weekend before that, I'll send out another newsletter with input from Preston and JR and from John down in Italy. But reflecting back on this call and again, sharing yours and Earl's and Paige's contact details for people that want to get in touch with you directly, just to keep that fresh.
Yeah, that's great. And I would be delighted to hear from any of you with any other further questions, collaboration, whatever it may be. As soon as I get vaccinated, I'm out of here.
And one thing I tell you too, for as a small little town of Vicenza that we are, the NATO international, I guess it would be Carbonari military police school is in Vicenza. And so if we give it enough time and the group that's coming in is dealing with security, I can link those guys up and maybe do, a tour of it and some guest spot lectures from these guys. It's a valuable asset that we as the U.S. Army are just now starting to dip into, but it's right here in this little sleepy town about an hour outside of Venice. Over.
John, we're going to have a group coming fall of 21. And they're at the American University of Rome. And I know we'd be delighted to hook up and see what we can do.
Anything, then what I can do is, if anything else, I can try to hook it up as a virtual. We're still red here in Veneto region of Italy, but I could start putting some phone calls in as well. Over.
Excellent. That would be great, John. And I'm delighted to, I'll be, myself and the provost will be visiting all of our programs this fall. And so I'm excited that she's on board and she will want to meet with a lot of you guys as we go throughout our programs in the various locations throughout the world. So.
Yeah, please do make sure you share that schedule with us as soon as you can, even the tentative one, and so that we can get that blocked in our agendas as well for the times that you're passing through our countries. There's definitely, like we said, definitely for you and for the provost, I think we can spring for dinner, no problem. Or have you over to our house as well. I mean, you're always welcome here.
Well, now we're talking. Yeah. Now we're talking.
Okay. You haven't had a Dutch breakfast or lunch yet, have you?
I have not. I was in Berlin a couple summers ago, but yeah, no.
Yeah, well, the only difference between Dutch breakfast and Dutch lunch is the time of day. So good. Any other burning questions that anyone has before we call it an evening here, and let the guys in the U.S. get back to what they're doing, because they still have a whole afternoon ahead of them. Anyone?
Yeah, Dr. Siegel, Dr. Walker, if we wanted to donate specifically to your programs from the TCF page, are there boxes we can click for those?
So that's a good question. I need to figure out who has been, I apologize, Earl, for just jumping in. I guess I'm used to fighting as I go abroad and getting my voice heard. Let me connect with the TCF. And Chuck, and then I'll get back with you on that. We should be assigned a particular officer that should be dealing with the strategic initiatives for international education, and then we can go from there.
Awesome, thanks.
Earl.Walker at citadel.edu, and we'll tell you where to send it. You can send it to my administrative office, our administrative officer, and she'll take care of it. And we thank you so much for thinking of us. That's very kind. That's very good.
It is very kind. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else before we call it a day here? No?
Hey, Dr. Siegel, my name's Chuck East. I live in Stuttgart. I work with U.S. European Command as well as the Office of Secretary of Defense. Nice. I'll reach out through Paige Tisdale and Roger Long and make sure you have my contact information. But there's a lot of things we can do over here. In addition to the discussion on NATO with U.S. Army, or excuse me, with U.S. European Command, U.S. Africa Command. Happy to link you into that general officer and the other senior leaders that are available here, to include people like the lead strategist, who is a Citadel grad, and others. So more to follow. Over.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Chuck. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks, Chuck, very much. Well, actually, I just do want to interject one thing, because I'm looking here at John Skrabeck and Mike Morin, and these two gentlemen work for defense companies. John, I'm sorry, I forget your company's name, but Mike, it's Thales well-known company. These are large companies. And I know talking with John, he has said it's a US-based company that's willing to bring internships over or interns over. So maybe Mike, maybe John had something to say about that, because bringing interns over to Europe is also part of this discussion as well. John?
Well, all I'll say, Roger, is that it's a Belgian company that has four main components: defense, energy, environment, and industrial. So it crosses the breadth. We're doing wastewater treatment plants in China, India, and Chicago. And we're selling guns and ammo all over the world. I obviously work in defense, but we actually have paid internships that we're going through the process now. So if someone's interested in coming in, and they don't have to come to Europe, they can go to Spain, Brussels, they can go to India, they can stay in the US. Now it's Erie, Pennsylvania. I don't know if I'd be signing up to go to Erie, Pennsylvania, but that's, yeah. So I just need to know, I think I've got the belly buttons now based on this call to publicize if people want to come over.
Wow, that would be so exciting.
That would be fantastic. I know, Paige, we probably haven't done a lot of international.
I'm already on it, John. I've connected you on LinkedIn. I look up your company and I found just in that short period of time that they actually are already using Handshake, which is our collegiate tracking system. So I just requested a quick follow so I could get those internship deadlines.
Yeah, and I'm the first guy to come from the US entity to the corporate headquarters. So my next door neighbor in the office is the HR expat guy. So to talk about coordination, just email and a phone call and it's done.
Wow.
Fantastic.
That's great. Yeah.
Hey, Mike, anything to add to that from the Thales side?
Yeah, Thales is a global, it's a global company. I mean, I work in the defense side of it. It's a global French company. So if there's some interest there, certainly at the corporate level, we could do it. But as a defense company, a lot of the things that we do in the Netherlands are Netherlands eyes only. So it makes it harder to work in the defense side of it. But certainly on a global level, I mean, there's branches in the US, just about every country in the world. So certainly if you look on the Thales corporate webpage, I think there's where you could probably find the internships. Yeah.
Excellent. Hey, yeah, thanks, Mike. Okay. Really, I can't say thank you enough to Paige and to Earl and to Zane to joining us this afternoon, your morning, explaining about the programs which you're running and doing an absolutely fantastic job of answering the question of how we as alumni in Europe can support mentorship and scholarship and study abroad. So thank you guys so much for the time. Thank you all of you for joining the call. Really appreciate it. And this is just the first, another step in the journey that we're taking here. So really fantastic. Thanks so much.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. I'm really excited to work with you guys. So thank you.
Great.
And it's good seeing everybody.
Thank you, Roger.
Amen. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I wish everybody a great day. All right. Cheers.
Take care. Cheers. Bye, guys.
Bye.